Now then, lads, and welcome back. So, this week, the USSR versus Japan event finally ended, and, well, I have some thoughts about it, so I thought, hey, let's compile them into a little bit of a rant, because I usually do these with these large events, so I thought, hey, why not? Okay, so what actually happened in this event? Well, basically, it was an even fight lineup, so that means that you have predetermined squads between the Soviets and Japan, with the idea being that everyone has the same equipment, which is fair enough. Anyway, so these squads were mainly Tier 3 based, with a couple Tier 5 and Tier 2 weapons thrown in, and it also had a reward battle pass, similar to past events, but unlike past events like the April Fools, none of the rewards you had to pay for, although you could buy something that gave you like 25% more points than a name decorator for 900 gold, which I think no one bought, so hey, we won that battle. But that didn't mean that the event was good, and actually had quite a lot of problems that, in my opinion, made it so much more of a slog compared to other events like it. So, let's start firstly with the good stuff, on a positive note. And that was mainly the rewards. In short, the Battle Pass this time had 12 tiers and 4 main rewards. 2 Tommy guns for Japan, 2 Fedorov 25-round rifles for the Soviets, an event squad for the Soviets with a motorbike with a PTRS anti-tank gun on it, and, of course, the main prize, Heavy Tank number 6 for Japan. There are also 2 profile picks and some silver and cosmetic currency, but overall, I think the rewards here were pretty good. The guns are nice, even though they are both re-releases, and I think they're fairly valuable, so players of both sides would appreciate them. I don't think the Soviet bike will be used as much, though, since I just felt it wasn't that good. Like, the machine guns on the bikes aren't that bad, and I think maybe this could perform well in the tier it's designed for, which is Tier 2, because, you know, anti-tank rifles are useful there, but we'll have to see. And as for the main reward, though, Heavy Tank number 6, I actually have quite a lot to say about that, and I kind of want to put that in its own video that I might do later on this year. But all I'll say for now is I'm very happy to have a Tier 5 tank for Japan that has a coax. Because, like, yeah, I don't care if this is, you know, a ridiculously good reward, and it's a little bit broken because it might be one of the best tanks for Japan. They've done this before with the Chiha Kai back in the old campaign system, so I don't really... You know, this isn't new. But anyway, rewards are good, and the theory behind this is good, but, yeah, let's just get into this rant bit, because, by God, there was a lot of really silly and dumb mistakes made making this. So, the negatives for this event are quite a lot, so forgive me if I go through this a little bit, you know, mixed, because there's a lot to cover. Firstly, let's start with the actual way you get the rewards, which was 12,000 points a day. Now this is a lot of points. Now, in the very, very long ago, back in 2023, this was sort of how the old events used to be done. You'd get somewhere between 10 and 15,000 points a day to get events, but that was quite a lot. So a lot of people, generally speaking, you know, stopped doing them. And that's where we got the 20,000 in 2 days thing, which is much better in my opinion. But this, oh god, this 12,000 in a day back was really frustrating, combined with the fact that it's even fight, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly certain none of the even fight ones had rewards like this, you know, where you needed 12,000 to get a reward. I'm fairly certain they were just... they were like challenge-based or mission-based or win-based. The point is, it was way too much, and combined with how annoying the mode was to play itself, it just made it really unfun. Alright, so with that said, why was the mode annoying? Well, I'll put it simply. Even fight was the worst possible decision for this matchup, and I don't understand the reasoning. Firstly, the matchups themselves were weird. So they were going for a Tier 3 matchup, right? which would mean that the rifles would have to be the SVT-38 versus the Type 4. Now, I don't like the SVT-38, it's probably my least favourite semi in the game, I hate it, but it's a very personal opinion of mine, because, well, if you actually look at them objectively, the SVT-38 is much better than the Type 4. I mean, it's a faster reload, I believe it fires slightly faster, although I might be wrong on that. The point is, SVT was already a better rifle than the Type 4, purely based on, like, the reload, for Christ's sake. I mean, I've even seen some people on the Reddit call to have the SVT-38 up-tiered. And, like, yeah, I can kind of see their argument, because if you play this mode, Jesus Christ, the Soviets had such an advantage. Now, not all of the matchups were awful. I mean, the Type 100 late to the Papushka 41 with the 35-round mag, that wasn't that bad, to be honest. They're rather similar. But then also trying to compare the Japanese 20-round Thompson to the PPS 42 was kind of crazy to me. I mean, I don't hate the Thompson the Japanese have. I don't mind those 20-round Thompsons. They're fine. But I do think where they lack is mainly in ranged combat. Like, you kind of have to be somewhat close to aim them better, especially with those iron sights. And unlike the PPS 42, you kind of have to also balance it with that really high fire rate, so you've got to sort of tap fire to conserve ammo a lot more. But you don't have to do that with the PPS 42, because it has not only 15 extra rounds, but it's also way more accurate, well, at least in my findings, at further ranges, which has made it simply better. Like, it was just a better gun. But, you know, the Thompson was only here because of the fact that it was a reward, and the rewards had to be in the mode. And then they also matched the KE7 to the DP27, which was insane, because, like, that's wild. I mean, I don't hate the KE7. I don't think it's Japan's best machine gun, but it's fine. But I think, you know, matching it up to, like, the DP is insane, because that gun has nearly double the ammunition of the KE7, and, you know, it's just better. It's just a better gun. Like, the machine guns were not close. I mean, the KE7 wasn't awful. I mean, I'll keep repeating that, because I don't hate the gun, and it could stand its ground, but, like, yeah, it's a very weird matchup. I think they should have picked a different gun. Probably, like the Type 99 versus the Madsen or something, but I can understand people not liking that, because a lot of people don't like the top magazine-fed guns for irons reasons, which is fair enough. Outside of that, I don't think the equipment was all the worst. I mean, the tanks, the IS-1 versus the Tiger 1 wasn't awful. The planes felt fine, although I do feel the fighters were more balanced to Japan and the assault planes were more balanced to the Soviets, but I think that sort of equals itself out. The bikes, I didn't really see used that much. I mean, the Soviet one definitely seemed to be a little bit more useless, just because of the anti-tank rifle didn't really have any armoured targets to really take out outside of other bikes and the occasional APC, but you know, that is what it is. But, you know, I think the real meat, the real problem with this event was, and still is, the squads they picked. The squad composition, I have no idea who designed it. Look, okay, when I make a squad, right, so let's say I'm picking an assault squad, I would expect at a bare minimum to have all 4 assaulter positions filled, as I think a lot of people would, because when you're picking a squad for a specific class, you're picking them because you want them to have the most of that class and to prioritize that class. Like, you're not going to pick a machine gunner squad and then only have 2 machine gunners in it and have the rest be, you know, the sort of engineer, AT gunner, radio operator mix, which I get why people like that, and I understand it. I do believe engineers and AT gunners should be in every squad, but, like, they shouldn't need to impress and make a push against the actual soldiers that squad's designed for, which is what frustrated me about it. I mean, like, I don't get, like, where they were going for. Like, why did the engineer squad need 2 riflemen? Why did any of the squads need 2 riflemen? Were the riflemen only there because they wanted to give the riflemen the automatic, the Type A automatic and the Fedorov 25? Is that why? Why couldn't they have given it to, like, an engineer or something? I mean, people that used it, did they not want people to use it? It just... the infantry squads just drove me mad in this event, because I don't understand them. Like, maybe I'm the weird one here. Maybe this is how people outfit their squads. But, like, no. These squads didn't seem like they were outfitted in a smart way. They felt like they were outfitted deliberately to be based around a sort of semi-automatic meta. And they really didn't want any sort of automatic meta, hence why there was only, 2 assaulters. In fact, I believe there was only 3 regular submachine gun soldiers in the whole lineup, outside of the tankers who also had submachine guns. It just... I don't know, man. It really, really bugged me. And I think it's the big thing that I had a problem with, because, well... they could have made this so much less infuriating if we could have used our own soldiers. Okay, let me explain what I mean by this, right? So, I think what this event should have been was a special queue that you could load into that would either give you your current Soviet lineup or your current Japanese lineup, and they would fight together, right? So it would still queue you up for any army, but it was a selection queue, like it was a queue you could opt into, because I think the ability to use your own soldiers would have been more engaging. Now I get the argument against it. I know some of you are probably going, but the balance, the Soviets are much better. And yes, I think in many ways the Soviets are better. But I think this would have been more valuable anyway, because it would have given us a better confirmation of how much better the Soviets are. Because I do want to see, like, Manchuria maps in the future. I do want Japan to have more maps and more factions to fight, which right now would be letting them fight the Soviets. But the problem is that this event it felt like it was Darkflow deliberately trying to say, this will never work, and here's the reason why. It's just... it's so frustrating and annoying, because this could have been a genuinely useful moment for research to find out how overpowered, if they are overpowered, the Soviets are against the Japanese. But they didn't. They wanted even fight, almost like because they wanted to show us that, using these cherry-picked selections of weapons and such, we can prove that the Soviets are far too powerful to fight Japan. It just... it feels so much like... It just feels like lip service, honest to God. Look, I don't hate this game, right? And I know this has come off a bit, I'm very frustrated, but I feel in general this year for Enlisted has been one of the worst. I mean, I've been playing this game since May 2021, and I genuinely can't think of a worse year for Enlisted than 2025. It's been really bad, and this event has kind of added to it, because this event could have been so much more interesting. There could have been a lot more fun stuff around it, but it wasn't. It was just frustrating, and I think that's the view that I see when I go on the Reddit and the forums, is people complaining about this event, and it's like, yeah, I get it. I don't blame them. I 100% agree with you. I think it is stupid, but look, I guess that's the rant over. What I'm trying to say is the event was frustrating because the squad makeups were strange. It was weird to only have 2 of the main class in a squad. The weapons chosen was weird. The matchups felt a bit off, and they could have done it better. Hell, they could have had the Type A versus the Fedorov, but then again, there's the damage problem, so maybe not. And I think the final problem is, I think a lot of the Japanese maps were not designed for the Soviets, primarily the tanks, which I think show the most, which is kind of what I want to touch on in my video about the heavy tank number 6. But yeah, I guess that's my rant for this over. Look, it just could have been so much better if they just let us use our own squads. I guarantee you I would have nowhere near as much of a problem with this event if they just let me use my tier 2 lineups. I would have had no problems. Hell, even let me use my tier 3. Just let me use the lineups that I made, that I have been working to make, rather than even fight, because even fight for this specific event was not a good idea. Okay, so that pretty much ends my thoughts on the Japan-Soviet even fight event. Yeah, not too brilliant, bit, annoying, but it is what it is, I guess. But anyway, yeah, what did you guys think to the event? Let me know in the comments below whether you thought the event was good or whether you enjoyed it or not. But anyway, with all that aside, thank you very much for listening to this rant, and goodbye.